Hi, good morning. I'm Jill Darling. I'm the survey director for the Understanding America study. And I'm going to be talking about how to access all of this data. I'm presenting on behalf of course, a large team of people who work in the UAS and in particular who help with dealing with data access. So in the UAS, we have 3 tiers of data. When it comes to thinking about access, you've seen other ways to categorize it, but basically all of the data and data products that that are on, excuse me, on our website can be categorized in one of the first 2 tiers, survey data and data products or sensitive data variables. These data, as Ari mentioned, are freely available to investigators. Because it's human subjects research data, it's available to people who are associated with research organizations or departments, research departments in organizations. Just to mention IRB for a moment, which is very boring, but the tiers 1 and 2 data, because they're coded and we won't hand over the code crosswalk, they do qualify for an exempt IRB on your end if you need to do IRB, which makes it easy. So to get to the data, just sign up for a free UAS data user account. We have it there on the menu that Marco was showing you down at the end for login and register. You can click on that. And once you fill that out, you'll return 1 or more data use agreements, depending on which kind of data that you're going to be using. So for tier 1 survey data, all of the data and data products that Marco talked about are available. That also includes the panel recruitment and participation data, which I don't think that you did mention, but we have all of the information about our recruitment, not only batch by batch, like Marco showed you, but also we have the full data files, like all of the My Households that have ever been filled out, the full sample and what happened with each element of the sample in terms of recruitment and whether or not they became a member of the Understanding America study. And also participation, how people were invited and how they responded to that data. And of course, the files are coded with a unique ID so they can be linked for analysis. To access that data, you sign up for the account at the spot I showed you and return just the first tier 1 data use agreement, which is only signed by the investigator. For students, we do ask that they get an advisor co-signature, and we'll just ask for confirmation of oversight from that advisor. But we also really are very happy to have students use the data for any of their projects as well. So we try and make that bar pretty easy to cross. The other part of this is that we have made data available if you are an academic and you have a class that you would like to use some survey data with. That is a little more complicated procedure, but you can just contact us and talk to us about it. And we are happy to help you set up limited data sets that you can share with students so that they don't have to sign individual data use agreements, but it's just the variables you're interested in that are completely de-identified. So tier 2 are more sensitive data. Generally, that's data that are things like 2nd and 3rd level occupation codes, where people have actually told us what their occupations are written in their job titles. Election tracking data for the 2020 election, we made that sensitive just because there's a little more interest in trying to re-identify people. So we just want more help in making sure that that's kept safe and the privacy is protected. And then survey data that we have linked behind the scenes to external data. If you have simple data sets that aren't going to add identifiers, we can often do a linking for you behind the scenes so that you can link to pollution data or something like that. But most of the time that data is too complex and will add indirect identifiers. But if it isn't, then that data, we just make that sensitive data and you can work with it out on your own. Once again, you register for a data user account, return the basic agreement, and then we also have a sensitive data use agreement, which is signed by the researcher and a representative of their research institution. And then we have the restricted data. This is brand new for us. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on this because we now have the ability to work with restricted data in the enclave, in an enclave, which I will tell you about. So basically now for the kinds of linkage that I was talking about, where you might want to link to external data, and there just is really no way to make sure that it doesn't add indirect identifiers, or you would like to do it yourself because you're interested in using the crosswalks, then this is considered restricted data. For instance, people have done research with social media and wanted to use the handles and have that data in to link with other data that they have. That would be also in identifiers that would need to be handled this way. And also, if you're interested in linking UAS survey data to other kinds of data that is restricted, for example, CMS claims data, SSA data, then that would also be considered to be in this. So access for this kind of data, you need to start with the basic agreement, tier 1, all set up. And then we have a process where you'll submit an application. The application really is just so that we can get an idea about how many people are going to be involved in the team, what you need in a workspace, whether or not there's data that's going to need to be uploaded. And, you know, it's not like we're vetting your research. We're just looking to set up something that will work for you and your team. And then once that has gone forward, then we'll need an enclave data use agreement. And that's again signed by the researcher and all of the team members who are at the same institution. If there's multiple institutions, you need multiple DUAs and because you need the signature of the representative. Right at the moment, we're not sure about IRB. We are in the process right now. As I said, it's brand new. So we're working with legal on getting the DUA finalized. We don't have it quite ready yet. We have one that I think is probably really good and it should be, but we'll see what legal says. And then we also are waiting for the IRB to help us telling us whether or not we can just rely on the DUA and not require external IRB for you to go, you know, you may need to go to the IRB on your own, but it may not be a requirement from our end. So we'll see. Or at least for not all projects. Some will probably always need it. All right, so the reason that we're able to now do this is that we have the use of the health and aging data, the HOD enclave. This is funded by the National Institute of Aging, and it's a FSMA compliant platform with research so that people who have need to look at CMS data and want to link that with other NIA sponsored data sets have a secure place to do that. It can be used by research teams wishing to link UAS survey data with other external data or work with any of the tier 3 situations that we have as well, which is really quite wonderful. We've been trying to think of a way or come up with a way or develop a way or create a way to do this for many years now. So the fact that we actually have this in our arsenal and are able to offer this is a new thing for us that I think is really great. We also have we have consented the UAS panel for linking to CMS data. So that data should be available in there as well. So the way this works is that the software is available in the workspace that is set up. Right now we have RSAS and Stata and are happy to work with teams who need other kinds of software. Not all of them seem to be suitable for enclaves, but we'll work with you as needed. All right, so use of restricted data in the UAS is monitored by our compliance officer. We now have a UAS compliance officer, which is great, Orla, who isn't here with us today, but she is remote. So she'll be processing the enclave access requests, working with teams to figure out what's required for what they need, uploading data as needed, monitoring and improving output. As with all secure enclaves, only statistical reports and presentations and data like that can be removed. No data can be downloaded to make sure that we're protecting privacy. So the UAS data that's available in the workspace is now are all UAS survey data and data products. Those have already been loaded in. Our location crosswalks. So we have geocoding all the way down to the, I think, house level. So all of those crosswalks will be available. Those are useful for being able to link external data and also do analysis at the location level. Also, survey data linked with other types of administrative data. As I mentioned, the CMS data for those who have consented, and the kinds of data that create indirect identifiers, as I mentioned earlier. I already talked about that. And soon we will have, hopefully soon, we will have Social Security earnings data also available for consenting participants. We're still working our way through the process of getting approval for doing that. And then we're going to need to get people consented, but then the data will be there. So just to note that for CMS data and Social Security data, there are separate DUAs that need to be navigated for approval to be able to do those linkages and conduct those analyses. And all of this is explained on our website. All right. If anybody has any questions, let me know. And if you need to contact us, our main address, uasl@usc.edu, is the best way to reach us. Thank you.